It's a returning champion, Elgintensity, aka Trapdoor Water Slide. An Illinois water park recently kept a 13-year-old girl from riding a water slide after weighing her and discovering that she was 5 pounds over the 200-pound limit. Her father, who's partially responsible for creating a leviathan like her in the first place, thinks that the routine procedure traumatized her. Let's hear from the man who understands safety guidelines about as poorly as he understands nutrition guidelines.
A day that was supposed to be about family fun turned into humiliation for his daughter. The controversy surrounds the Raging Rivers Water Park in Grafton. Only News 4's Melanie Johnson spoke to the dad, who's now ready to throw his season pass in the trash.
To have a company be responsible for such a massive mental impact on my daughter.
His daughter makes a massive physical impact, but that involves a different Illinois company.
It's tough.
Andrew Batten took his family to Raging Rivers Monday with hopes of getting on the water park's newest ride, the Mississippi Monster.
Based on childhood obesity stats, his daughter wouldn't be considered a monster in Mississippi, only on the Mississippi Monster.
Their excitement rippling into waves of embarrassment
When Typhoon watched his daughter squall after hearing that she was too big of a water body.
after a worker asked his 13-year-old daughter to step on a scale in front of complete strangers.
There's a big scale right there. And I looked at that and I kind of looked at my wife, and the guy looked at us and he was like, to my daughter, he was like, you need to step on the scale.
The weight limit for the ride, 200 pounds.
She steps on the scale and she's 205.
A decision a Raging River spokesperson says was made because of safety concerns. But these customers say there were no signs indicating a weight limit.
I get the safety, but just communicate.
Every water slide has a sign that gives a ride's weight limit, and it's standard for guests to step on a scale, which also eliminates anyone who's too skinny for a ride. If manlets can stand under the dreaded height requirement sign at a roller coaster, then his daughter can step on a scale at a water slide. Besides, there were probably only a few dozen people in line, none of whom cared about or remembered how fat she was. Batten's daughter and a WNBA player draw the same size crowds, but have different problems with slamming buckets. The water park worker was just doing his job and telling the Battens what the scale read. It's not like he announced her weight to the world like her dick-brained dad did.
Batten taking his frustrations to Facebook in a post that's been shared more than 300 times, saying, quote, "To have to see my daughter's face, eyes welling up with tears as she was turned away for being 5 pounds over."
To no one's surprise, he even writes obese body paragraphs.
Raging Rivers tells me the new water tubes for the Mississippi Monster water slide will be here as soon as Wednesday. This will increase the weight capacity for the ride.
Even with the new tubes, that water slide still won't shoot as many obese women as the magazine industry.
The disappointment that she felt by not being able to ride the brand new ride was definitely overshadowed by the public humiliation of being asked to step on a scale, and then further than that, being told you're overweight.
And further than that, her story being told to news reporters. I bet his daughter didn't cry as much as she did when she and everyone at her school found out that her dad blabbed her weight to the world. This is peak Streisand effect, unintentionally raising awareness of a unit overlooking the water.
His 13-year-old daughter, also a season ticket holder, just like her father. Both say they don't plan on returning to the water park anytime soon.
Darcy doesn't blow. I'm sure it's because of the so-called embarrassment of being weighed, not because his daughter is incapable of losing a few pounds. Raging Rivers installed stronger tubes and battened down the hatches, while slop continues to go down the Batten's hatches.
We, as parents, now have to, undo the emotional damage that this, corporate company cost us.
It could be a lot worse. This March, a 340-pound 14-year-old at an amusement park in Florida slipped from his seat and fell to his death from a drop tower that he was allowed to ride, even though he far exceeded the weight limit. His daughter might be dejected, but at least she's not dead. Also, the employee who politely told Batten's daughter that she couldn't ride the water slide didn't do any emotional damage. The policy that he enforced prevented the physical damage of a butterball hurtling into tight corners and sudden drops, and maybe the structural damage of that chubber flying through a wall like Rasputia in Norbit. The girl's just a brat who can't handle rejection and cares way too much about water slides. When you're a 205-pound 13-year-old girl, the only tubes you need to worry about are the clogged ones in your circulatory system. All the emotional damage came from the brainlet who enabled and publicized her weight problem. If she's a heifer at a water park, then he's a bull in a china shop. Parents who let their kids become obese are far more abusive than any scale readout or park policy, and cause far more damage to their kids' health. Whether or not you enjoy careening into pools, being obese puts you on the fast track to a hole in the ground.
0.
Like the video and subscribe to the channel now.